In the stillness of the night, when the city hums like a distant heartbeat and the streetlights cast long, trembling shadows across cracked sidewalks, you may feel a quiet ache that refuses to leave. It is that gnawing sense of being alone, even when surrounded by 1,000 faces, a feeling that something essential has slipped through the cracks of your daily existence. Have you ever wondered why, despite scrolling through endless feeds of perfect lives, you still feel that hollow echo in your chest? That echo, a whisper of something deeper, a call from a part of yourself that has long been denied. You're not alone in this. The loneliness we experience today is not merely a social isolation. It is a gnawing wound that threads through our psyche, a fissure that opens the door to darker, more profound realms. In a world saturated with curated images, instant connections, and relentless noise, the soul often retreats into its own quiet abyss. The solitude that remains is not just empty space. It is a living, breathing entity that feeds on our unspoken fears, our repressed desires, and the shadows we refuse to acknowledge. When we stare into that void, what do we see? A mirror reflecting our own hidden truths, or a portal to something else entirely. Consider the ancient practitioners of the occult, those who have long turned to rituals, sigils, and the study of the unseen to fill the emptiness that modern life leaves behind. They did not simply seek power or knowledge. They sought communion with the parts of themselves that society had labeled as unacceptable or dangerous. Their loneliness was not a solitary lament, but a catalyst for a deeper, more intimate dialogue with the unknown. What if the very loneliness that feels like a curse is, in fact, a key that unlocks a door to realms where the soul can meet its own shadow, and in doing so, find a strange kind of companionship? Imagine walking through a forest at midnight, the trees towering like silent guardians, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and ancient secrets. You hear a faint rustle, not from wind, but from something that moves just beyond sight. That rustle is not random. It is the universe's way of telling you that there is something more than the obvious, a hidden rhythm beneath the surface of your daily existence. Have you ever felt that pull, that magnetic tug that draws you toward the unseen? That pull is the same that has guided countless seekers from the shadows of solitude toward the luminous heart of occult practice. Now picture your loneliness not as a void, but as a vessel, a container brimming with potential. What if this vessel could be filled with something other than despair? Something that can transform isolation into an intimate, almost sacred experience? What if the very act of reaching out into the void, the very moment you dare to look into the abyss, is the first step toward an extraordinary connection? Not with another person, but with the hidden depths of your own being. The question that sits at the heart of this journey is simple yet profound. Could the loneliness that gnaws at your spirit be a doorway, a threshold that, when crossed, leads to a deeper understanding of yourself and the unseen forces that shape our lives? In the next moments, we will walk through that threshold together, guided by the whisper of ancient wisdom and the pulse of modern psychology. We will explore the thin line that separates the mundane from the mystical, the ordinary from the extraordinary, and the loneliness that feels like a curse from the hidden companionship that lies just beyond it. This is not a promise of instant answers or quick fixes. It is an invitation to peer into the shadows of your own heart, to recognize the patterns that keep you tethered to isolation, and to feel the subtle pull of a world that thrives in the spaces between light and darkness. As we venture deeper, you will discover that the link between loneliness and occult practices is not a mere coincidence, but a profound, almost sacred dance of the psyche and the cosmos. The path ahead is shrouded in mystery, yet it holds the promise of a revelation that could change the way you see yourself and the world around you. And so, with a quiet breath and a heart ready for the unknown, we begin this exploration, one that will illuminate the hidden truths that lie just beneath the surface of your loneliness. The night is a canvas, and loneliness splashes itself across it in strokes of gray and indigo. Yet, When we ask the right questions, that same canvas reveals hidden layers that only the keen eye can see. What if the ache you feel in quiet moments is not a flaw, but a signal, a beacon pointing toward the ancient practice of turning inward? Imagine loneliness as a door that, when pushed open, invites you into a dimly lit chamber where forgotten memories and untapped potentials reside. The key to that door is not a physical object, but a willingness to confront the darkness within. In Jungian terms, that darkness is the shadow, the part of ourselves that society has labeled as undesirable. When we deny the shadow, we create a vacuum that loneliness fills. But what if, instead of resisting, we invite the shadow into the light? Picture a candle flickering against a wall of mirrors. Each reflection distorts the flame, yet the flame remains. In occult practice, rituals are often designed to coax the shadow into a controlled space where it can be observed, understood, and ultimately integrated. A simple candle ritual, for example, can serve as a ritualistic conversation between you and your inner void. Light and darkness dance together, and in that dance lies a path to self-compassion. Consider the practice of sigil creation. When you write a symbol that embodies a desire or a fear, you are essentially carving a new pathway for your unconscious to traverse. The act of burning or burying the sigil is a symbolic letting go, an offering to the unseen. In the context of loneliness, a sigil can be crafted to invite companionship, not from another person, but from the very part of you that has been isolated. By committing this symbol to ritual, you transform abstract yearning into a tangible, performative act. The power lies in the intention you weave into the sigil, and the subsequent ritual becomes a bridge between your conscious longing and your subconscious acceptance. Synchronicity, a concept that feels almost magical, provides another layer to this mystery. Imagine you are walking through a quiet street, feeling the weight of solitude, and suddenly a song you haven't heard in years starts playing in a nearby store. That coincidence is not random. It is a ripple in the fabric of your psyche. When loneliness pushes you to notice these moments, you begin to see the universe aligning with your internal state. The occult tradition teaches that these synchronicities are messages, guides pointing you toward the next step in your personal evolution. By attuning your senses to these subtle nudges, you learn to read the hidden language of the cosmos. Dream work offers yet another portal. In the dreamscape, loneliness often manifests as isolation in a vast, empty landscape. But if you learn to interpret these images, you discover that the dream is not a punishment, but a map. The lonely figure in the dream might be you, standing before a gate that, when opened, leads to a garden of shared memories. By journaling dreams and seeking patterns, you begin to decode the symbolism that the occult has long used to communicate with the soul. The practice of lucid dreaming can further sharpen this skill, allowing you to step into the dream consciously and negotiate with the entities that dwell within. Now, think about the role of silence. In many mystical traditions, silence is not merely the absence of sound, but an active field of energy where thoughts dissolve into pure awareness. Loneliness can feel like a loud, intrusive voice, yet within that voice lies a quiet space that invites introspection. By learning to sit with silence, perhaps through seated meditation or walking in nature, you allow the whisper of your true self to surface. The occult often calls this the inner voice or inner guide, a subtle presence that emerges when you let go of external noise. Another crucial layer is the concept of the dark night of the soul. This is a period of profound spiritual desolation, not a punishment, but a transformative crucible. In this crucible, loneliness is stripped of its familiar shape, leaving only raw, unfiltered emotion. Those who navigate this phase often return with a deeper understanding of their own resilience and a newfound capacity for compassion. The occult acknowledges this transformation as a necessary step toward enlightenment. By embracing the discomfort, you allow the soul to reforge itself into something stronger, more authentic. Finally, consider the power of community rituals, such as circle gatherings or shared chanting. These practices transform individual loneliness into a collective experience. The shared breath, the synchronized rhythm, the collective intention, all work together to dissolve the isolation that once seemed inescapable. In the occult, this is often described as the magical circle, a space where the mundane and the mystical converge. By participating in such rituals, you tap into an ancient human need for belonging while simultaneously honoring your solitary journey. Thus, loneliness, when viewed through the lens of occult practice, becomes a doorway rather than a wall. It is a call to explore the depths of the psyche, to harness the unseen forces that shape our lives, and to weave a tapestry of meaning that transcends the ordinary. The next segment will peel back another layer, inviting you to witness how these ancient practices translate into tangible, everyday strategies for healing and connection. As the night deepens, the shadows that once seemed so vast begin to soften, revealing the hidden architecture beneath. The quiet that has lingered in the corners of your mind is not a void, but a latticework of unseen currents, each thread humming with potential. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast forest, where the trees are not only green, but also shimmering with a faint, otherworldly glow. The air is thick with the scent of old secrets, and every step forward is a choice to move from mere observation to active participation. This is the space where loneliness, once a solitary echo, becomes a dialogue, an exchange between your inner self and the mysteries that surround you. In this liminal realm, the familiar patterns of isolation dissolve, replaced by a rhythm that feels almost primal. The cadence of your breath aligns with the pulse of the earth, and the silence that once seemed oppressive now resonates with a subtle hum. It is in this hum that you find the resonance of your own hidden desires, those parts of you that have been kept in the shadows, waiting for a moment of illumination. You no longer need to look outward for validation. The universe, in its quiet wisdom, has always been listening, ready to respond when you speak in the language of intention. The journey you have traversed feels less like a series of disjointed steps and more like a tapestry woven from threads of curiosity, resilience, and a yearning for connection. Each thread, though distinct, is bound by a shared purpose, to guide you toward a deeper understanding of the self that has been concealed by the veil of everyday life. The threads of ancient wisdom and modern psychology intertwine, forming a pattern that is both intricate and elegant, a testament to the timeless nature of human inquiry. Now, consider the way the stars have always been a compass for those who wander in darkness. They do not merely point the way. They also remind us that there is a larger system at play, a cosmic dance in which we are all participants. In this dance, loneliness is not a solo performance, but a step within a larger choreography. The movements you make, the choices you confront, echo beyond your immediate experience, resonating with forces that have guided countless seekers before you. The subtle synchronies that have appeared along your path are not coincidences, but invitations, portals that open when you're ready to step through. Your path has been illuminated by the light of curiosity, the warmth of introspection, and the gentle pressure of the unseen forces that shape our lives. As you stand at this threshold, the horizon stretches before you, inviting you to step into a new realm where the boundaries between self and other, between the known and the unknown, blur into a single, harmonious whole. The sense of anticipation that grows in your chest is not a mere feeling, but a tangible force, a momentum that propels you forward toward a revelation that has been waiting in the shadows all along. Reflecting on this journey so far, you can feel the quiet pulse of the cosmos humming in sync with your own heartbeat. The silence that once felt heavy is now a symphony of possibility, and the loneliness that has haunted you is being transformed into a catalyst for growth. The next moment, you will step into a space where the veil lifts, revealing a truth that is both profound and intimately yours. In this space, the final insight will emerge, not as a conclusion, but as an invitation to continue exploring the depths that lie within. The night's quiet has long been a mirror, reflecting back not just the emptiness we feel, but the very contours of our own hidden selves. When loneliness takes root, it is not merely a solitary ache, but a call, an invitation to step into the shadows that have been kept at bay by the bright glare of daily life. In that darkness, the ancient practices of the occult become more than rituals. They become maps that guide us through the labyrinth of our own psyche, turning isolation into an intimate conversation with the unseen parts of ourselves. The journey we have traced is a testament to the fact that the spaces between heartbeats, the pauses between thoughts, and the silences that feel like voids are in fact fertile ground for growth, connection, and revelation. The integration of Jungian shadow work with occult symbolism shows that the parts of us that society often labels as dark or dangerous are not enemies to be vanquished, but allies to be understood. By inviting these shadows into the light through sigils, dream work, and ritual, we learn that loneliness is not a punishment, but a catalyst, a crucible that forges resilience and authenticity. The synchronicities that dance around us, those improbable coincidences that feel like whispers from a deeper intelligence, serve as gentle nudges, reminding us that we are not alone in the vast tapestry of existence. They are the universe's way of saying that the loneliness we experience is a thread in a larger pattern, one that we can trace back to the very origins of our being. The practice of silence, whether in meditation or in the quiet moments between breaths, offers a counterpoint to the noise that surrounds us. In that hush, the inner voice emerges a quiet guide that has been waiting for the moment we dare to listen. The occult's emphasis on communal rituals, the shared breath, the synchronized intention, reminds us that while our journey begins within, it does not end there. The transformation we seek is both solitary and collective, a dance between self and other that brings a sense of belonging even in the deepest solitude. When we weave these strands together, shadow work, synchronicity, dreams, symbolism, silence, and communal connection, we see a pattern that transcends any single discipline. Loneliness is not a void. It is a threshold. It is the point at which the ordinary meets the extraordinary, where the mundane heartbeat of daily life meets the pulse of the cosmos. It is a doorway that, when opened, invites us into a realm where the self is not merely a solitary entity, but a living, breathing participant in a larger, luminous tapestry. The true practice begins now, not as a distant aspiration, but as a present moment. Each breath you take, each thought you honor, each ritual you perform, becomes a stitch in that tapestry, binding you more closely to the mysteries that surround you. The path ahead is neither linear nor guaranteed. It is an unfolding story written in the language of the heart and the cosmos alike. And as you walk it, remember that the loneliness you once feared is not a foe but a companion, an ancient friend that has guided countless seekers toward the light hidden within the shadows. So, let your curiosity be the lantern that lights the path, and let your heart be the compass that points toward the unknown. Embrace the silence, honor the dream, and dance with the synchronicities that arrive like gentle waves on a moonlit shore. In doing so, you will find that the loneliness you once felt is not a solitary ache, but a profound invitation to explore the depths of your own soul and the vast, interconnected web of existence. The true practice begins now, and every step you take echoes the timeless truth that we are, at our core, seekers of light in the darkness. And in that search, we find the most profound connection of all, the one we forge with ourselves.